why Kennedy was so-called just killed, assassinated,
murdered.
Well, you know, maybe motherfucker deserved to be murdered.
He did.
Innocent. He prayers being not innocent. That's why they killed Kennedy, for that currency, because he wanted a gold silver standard at least. When they took it 33, they took out the gold standard. 63, they put in. He tried to get the silver. He tried to keep the silver standard. So see how they devalued it from the gold to the silver? You know, and then do you see anybody bartering? That's part of the. Look, man. Let me get Ecclesiastes 12:3 again, please. Keep on with that. All right.
I'm gonna keep going. It says, the collapse of all currencies will lead to the collapse of all paper assets.
See, there's a connection between this whole thing. It's going to collapse all the paper assets. What's that going to do? Until hey, look, we don't know who's taking this money. We got to divide. The money's the value. Now, hey, look, we got fraud everywhere. Okay, we can't trust nobody. Look, why don't you just take this chip? Take this chip and that's, hey, look, you can't be. Hey, you can mess with the chip. You can give me $1 million credits or whatever on the chip. Not me per se. You could get $1 million dollars on the chip, credits on the chip. Oh, you can take $1 million credits from the chip. So you'll be stupid to even, that little simple thing should let you know that that shit is fallible also. It's same computers. To wave your hand across the goddamn screen door so they can open.
They got this new movie called Nerve, right? And basically, you can being spiritually minded, you can use what they were showing in that movie to basically create a spiritual metaphor. Now, in this movie, there was this game called Nerve that was on the black market, right? And basically, when you join into the game, people could dare you to do something. And if you do the dare, they would drop money into your bank account. They didn't need your routing number. They didn't need your checking account number. They didn't need none of that. They'll just drop the money into your bank account. But if somebody dared you to do something and you didn't do it, then they would take money from your bank account. That's nothing. That movie isn't talking about nothing but the market of beast, man. You know, because first of all, when you take that chip, the so-called white man is daring you to take it. If you take the chip, then you'll, in his eyes, you'll be good. You know, because now you'll be able to buy and sell. We don't know if they initiate by them giving you the chip, they'll initiate you and set you up with a certain amount of currency or not. You know, but if you don't take the chip, you're gonna be either put to death by the so-called white man, or you might even die in the famine. But if you're a man of the Lord, you'll be all right. But basically, that movie shows you how that chip is gonna operate. You know, it's a big dare. I dare you to take this. I dare you to be part of our society. But once you take that chip, you're gonna die, according to Revelations 14:9. You're gonna burn in that fire. But if you don't take the chip, there's a risk that you still might die. You might get killed by the so-called white man.
The chip is gonna have your credit card and money mixed into it.
God, so they can just drop that money right in your bank account. But if you do something to go against their system, if you had a chip and you do something they don't like, or if they just don't like you, they can just take the money from you. And in that movie, the movie was based around a woman, like always, and basically, she was getting all popular because she was doing all of the dares, but she had a joint bank account with her mom. So her mom is like, when the hell is all this money coming from? You know, that's because she was doing the dares. Once you take that chip, hey, the so-called white man controls you, man. They showed you in that movie how the people were being controlled. And she tried to go to the cops didn't do nothing, and because the cops was in on it.
You got it back?
Yeah. I'm gonna jump down about half the paragraph. It says,
I got
in
12. You got it.
Hey, this is Ecclesiastes 12:3. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow.
Go to 1 real quick.
This is Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them.
Right. You got to remember our power, man. While we're as young men, because we're still young, man. Yeah, you got to remember, because while the evil days come not, while there is none of these calamities is about to pop up. Because he said, read that part, the bottom part.
When thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them.
Now before he say, because now he could, hey, you could be marked. You could be marked by the angels, by the Most High. Hey, look, he could be disseminated. He's not part of the elect, blah blah blah. But we already know it's predestinated. But still, we got to work for this, not for a goal, and we just got to do the work in this. So remember Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man, because it's what prophecies is what he's speaking on. Then it goes into what we're talking about. Go ahead, bro.
When the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain.
Right. So the cloud. So it's saying you're gonna be before all this shuts down. None of this we go into it's gonna take you all the way to the windows be darkened. We already read this, but I just wanted to bring it out again because we're bringing it how it's gonna be collapsed and how the collapse is gonna be inevitable with the scriptures. Go ahead, bro. I just want to bring you.
It says, in past issues, we've documented increasingly concerned billionaires warning of dangerous economic times.
Right, because don't you notice some of these guys that's being killed, these bankers being killed, or they're being killed, these billionaires. No, a lot of these the billionaires know that there's something going on. Like Alan Greenspan, you should speak on that. Alan Greenspan, they know that this is about to be it's about to go down. That's why they putting their money in gold. Silver.
Trump just, I think he took all his money off the New York Stock Exchange.
Bro, you know, and it's just the stock just fell yesterday or the day before yesterday. America's about to take a big hit. So keep on thinking you're gonna keep keeping on in this goddamn country, man.
Dwelling in pleasure.
In pleasure. It ain't it's the pleasure is gonna be hell. It's gonna be something that's never been seen on earth that's soon enough. Because we already know it's been invasions in Israel. Because all they doing is coming for who? Israelites. They're trying to destroy us, man. So look, remember the creators and the data that I use because it's an economic collapse is about to happen, man. They not printing this stuff up for nothing. It's saying 2016 in this article. Go ahead, brother. Keep reading.
It says, many have favored gold as an alternative allocation in a world where 13 trillion worth of debt is negative yielding. Interest rates are artificially suppressed. And we're on the brink of major wars. Right,
because the brother already said 13 trillion is what? The U.S., but the total national debt is what? Over 64 trillion. It's more than this. It can never be paid back. So who you gonna have to pay back? What they call those, the elites. Well, what? your spirit. They want your allegiance. Slavery. And then they want to disseminate half of their slaves because what? When you own some slaves, you're gonna get rid of them. Thin the herd. When you thin the herd and make it over up to 7 billion to 500 million. Hey, they gave you guidelines. Keep reading.
Because once you thin the herd, that solidifies your rulership. You know, that solidifies it because there's less people that you have to worry about controlling. You know.
This is the next part. It has a couple major people in here that are also discussing it. It says, the title for this one says currency crisis. It says, according to Congressman Paul, a U.S. currency crisis is inevitable. At one point in the 1980s, while riding on Marine One with President Reagan, the president said, "No great nation that has abandoned the gold standard has ever remained a great nation."
Your own president said you cannot get rid of the gold standard. You will not last as a country if you get rid of the gold standard.
That's the point.
That's the whole point. He said it. That means he knew about it. He knew that if you took away the standard, eventually it was going to go down. Because in the 80s, the Japanese had a foothold in America. They was always in here. They was rich as hell. Because America was borrowing back then. And what? America's supposed to be the superpower back then. But you was being used as a whore back then. Now the president around that time is telling you if because of the gold standard going, that's why it's their debt in this country.
That's why it's crumbling.
It's crumbling. Then your infrastructure is fucked up. The roads. Go ahead, bro.
This is the next part. It says a few decades ago, former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan stated, "In the absence of the gold standard, there's no way to protect savings from confiscation through inflation. Without a gold standard, there's nothing to limit government spending." In short, as long as the government is able to overspend, the national debt will be the norm rather than the exception.
If you have gold, you only have a limit of what you can spend. When you have fiat currency, you can print money.
It's like the difference between a debit card and a credit card. On the debit card, that's where you put your money at. You can only spend it if you got money on there. But with the credit card, you can go over. You know, you can compare that to the gold standard. So without the gold, with the fake money, you can just drop millions and billions on shit. But if you have a gold standard, you can only spend what the limit is.
Well, credit just means I believe. You believe it's money. It really is no money. That's what that happened in Germany. They just kept making more money and more money until
the Weimar Republic.
Yeah, Weimar Republic.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Right. So believe. Hey, look, we're dealing with a credit-based system. Hey, them chicks that walk by, they probably had used a credit card to get all those shoes to go into debt. To go into debt for some shoes. Well, you could have just saved some. You could have saved. You only got 2 feet. You buy a pair at a time. You know. Go ahead, Rick. Keep reading out.
All right. This goes down to a later part of it. It says Paul's prediction, talking about Ron Paul, the presidential candidate. It says Paul's prediction, although rather dire, is for the collapse of the entire U.S. financial system. If this occurs, the systemic risk would be massive. If the U.S. financial system actually did collapse, it would take the entire global financial system with it.
Okay.
Why? Because there is over 18 trillion in U.S. debt outstanding, with China and Japan, like the brother said, being the largest holders. A U.S. collapse would devastate the entire globe.
And Salakia, that's the reason why you have China is selling off the United States debt as much as they can. Not that a lot of people want to buy it, you know. They're trying to dump some of it, but they still can't dump all of it because they need it. Why? Because they're still making money off this place. You know. So the major importer to America, or the major exporter to America, is China. Whatever you have, and even this camera that we're using right now, it says what? It says made in China. These umbrellas that we're using right now, it says what? It says made in China. So they're dumping off the United States debt, and they're doing it as a threat to the U.S., but they still can't dump off all of it. You know.
America is going to feel this pinch. Americans going to feel this pinch because well, you think that senators are going to feel this pinch? Fuck no. You think the so-called president at the time is going to? Hey, look, they got bunkers that's tunnels that expand from New York to California. They got caverns that they storing materials inside of buildings for the last few months.